All right, so officially welcome to, what is this, our fourth day, fifth day, 10th day? Time. This is the flexibility of time. And I want to also give a special welcome to our online community. Thank you so much for joining us live and online as well. So I want to start with a little review of what we covered yesterday, and then we're going to keep digging into this mapping of the embodied self. So from that, we recognize that we experience ourselves long before we cognitively understand ourselves. Yeah. We are building this primal sense of self. And we call it, through our developmental process, mapping the embodied self. And we use different sensory information. All that sensing and feeling gathers to give us this 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 10-dimensional sense of self. And yesterday we covered proprioception, kinesthesia, and what? Interoception. You passed the quiz. Well done. Today we're going to be talking about the next few elements that help gather sensory data to keep feeding in and building that primal sense of self. And we'll be navigating or looking at the navigation of when trauma affects it. Sound like a plan? Okay. So we'll start the projector, or the screen rather. All right, so our first fun word is exteroception. Yeah. That is I love how it's like sliding down the video. I want to like slide down with it. I'm just seeing it move here, and hope it's as fun for you as it is for me to see myself moving without moving. So exteroception is our organizing of sensory data, and stimulus that's coming outside of the body. Yeah, I'm just remembering that that elementary school, the song. I can't remember the song, but when you're pointing to all your senses, do you know it, Michelle? No, that's not. That's a good one too. No shame, but that's not the one I was thinking of. It's like touch, taste and smell, It's the same tune. Did you guys not go to science camp like I did? So in there's actually a hierarchy of our senses. They didn't all develop at the same time. And that's going to be really important when we look at the repatterning or the rewiring later on in relationship to trauma. Yeah. So we have touch and movement, our first senses to develop, to myelinate in utero. We'll call them the first senses online to help map the embodied self. So they're pretty primal. Then we have taste. Yum, 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 yum. I don't know why I need to do that, but it felt good. Just go with it. And then we have smell. Yeah. And there is a progression of taste before smell, because what are we doing often right out of utero? Yum, 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 yum. Yeah? What did you say? Yes. Maybe, or bottle feeding, or feeding, nourishing. Yeah. Oh, can I get my projector back up, my love? Thank you. And then smell, hearing, and sight. Sight is our last sense to fully develop, even though as adults it occupies most of our brain space in relationship to our other sensory data. Yeah. So I want us to do a little sensory odyssey. Yeah. Before we go into all what happens when, let's just what happens now when we. Okay, so I'm going to have us take 5 minutes, and we're going to do a mindful sensory odyssey. You're going to do it. I'm going to invite you to self-lead this. So often, anyone here kind of rush when they're eating? Anyone in here take the time to taste your food? Good. That mindfulness practice of really slowing down to be in the textures, the flavors, the whole sensory experience through each mode or channel that we have here in exteroception. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes. You can choose one or two specific sensory channels like taste or smell, touch or movement. And I invite you to slow down enough to be in the flavors of it. Yeah? Or the textures of it, or the decibels, the various qualities that we often override when we are moving through this urgency culture that we call life. Yeah. Okay, so choose one or two. If you're feeling like it, take all 6. Yeah. And then take the next 5 minutes to have these mindful sensory practices. Okay? And begin. Mhm. And as you continue in your sensory odyssey, notice how the whole of you responds. Like zooming out a little bit to notice how this one channel is resonating through the whole of you. Thank you. So you were using your auditory odyssey. You were on an auditory odyssey. And in it, it evoked some of the memory and experience of an earthquake that you were in Alaska. And it brought up a lot of the sensation, and you're recognizing in this moment from that just the significance of that experience in your soma. Yeah. Yeah. One more. Sorry, on the mic.
Hi. So I had started to, with an intention to experience my coffee
Mm-hmm.
From a taste and then temperature point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But as I slowed down,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed the lights dancing in the coffee,
Mm-hmm.
and then how I could bring my 2 eyes to bring the lights together and bring them apart, and the intricate patterns.
Yeah.
Um,
Did it change the way you experienced it as your eyes moved further away and towards each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So curiosity and delight.
Yeah. And I want to really point that out because we're heading in that direction is even as the ways that our channels, our sensory channels organize themselves will affect our experience of what we're attending to, connecting with. Yeah, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Is it possible we might have the screen back up? If not, it's all good. Yeah, there we go. It's small, I know. We'll see if we can get it bigger for you. I'm also going to say it out loud. So the next channel that we're going to go into, and then we're going to connect the two, is called neuroception. Yeah. It's essentially all that sensory data coming in through our exteroceptors, our taste, our smell, our touch, our movement, turn into electrical signals. The nervous system picks it up and interprets it. Yeah, and we call that neuroception. And part of that interpretation is assessing safety and danger. So what we call cues of safety and cues of danger. Yeah. So our neuroreception is gathering sensory information and helping us assess safety and danger. Yeah. Again, so it's really essential for this is the part of our nervous system that's gathering the data, interpreting it, integrating it, and responding. Yeah. And those cues can come from any of the sensory information, including, especially as infants, familiar ones like body language, voice tone, facial expressions of other people, even some internal responses. Good. So we can actually, we can take down the slide for a minute. And we're going to talk about neuroreception, exteroception in relation to trauma. But I'm going to do it in kind of an annoying way. I'm going to press this. Just so you hear the sound now. It's not the noxious one. The other one's more noxious. Oh, it's not even going. Maybe I should turn it on. Less noxious. Yeah. Okay. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. If you need to keep them open, please do. I'm going to play the sound several times. Pause and notice what happens next. Notice if there's an anticipation awaiting for the sound to come and how your body is organizing or responding in that anticipation. Okay. Go ahead and open your eyes. Shout out to me. How do you recognize, anyone here feel that anticipation? Most of us, yeah. How do you recognize that anticipation in your body? There's a leaning forward, yeah. Bracing. Mm-hmm. What was that? Tension. Stitches? Yeah, tension, stitches. What'd you say? Holding your breath, yeah. Heart rate increasing. You get a specific image. Not being in the moment. That anticipation, however it is that you experienced it, does that feel familiar to anyone? Yeah. What's the impulse that wants to happen next from that for you? Seeking, running, protecting, shaking, pull away. Yeah. So we all have our own response to this very primal anticipation. You know, I used to think, and I was trained in, that trauma wasn't just the event, but that it was the experience of the way that it was holding in your body. And then I came to recognize that it's so much more than that. It's how did my senses, how did my body start to alter in preparation with that anticipation for the next possible threat? And how does that alteration affect my perception and the way I live? You want me to say that again? Oh, God. Okay. What did I say? Okay. I said, yeah. What I came to realize with trauma was it's not just what's holding in our body in a kind of ethereal way or somatic or physical way. Yeah. What I came to recognize was how, in response to that anticipation, are my senses, my channels of receiving from the world or myself altering? How are they changing, morphing, in anticipation of the next possible threat? And how does that become my reality? You know, like when I started recognizing this, I really altered the way I was working with people. I would often start with, not just start with, but we do a lot of memory reprocessing. And I was like, there's still something here that I'm not getting to. And I recognized we didn't go back to these primal ways in which we are mapping not only our embodied experience, but our reality. Yeah? So we're going to look at, let me know if you're able to get that back on the screen. Won't take a minute. Yeah. Let's see. If not, I'll sing and dance to take up time. So, another way of saying this, and we're going to talk about it in more detail, is the experience changes my perception. Yeah. For example, in vision, I lose often in trauma response my ability to see the periphery. It becomes more centrally focused initially, right, to focus on the stressor, the stimuli, the traumatic, or the thing that was the traumatic originator. And in anticipation, which is brilliant, it's a survival mechanism. In anticipation, I'm going to maintain that often. And I don't even know that the drive underneath, that energy, that anticipation, is maintaining that sensory orientation. So I begin to change how I see the world. And I don't recognize that the glasses I'm wearing becomes my new normal. Or the other ways I'm going to talk about that alter our senses. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about how trauma affects touch and movement yesterday. So I'm not going to go into too much more depth, you know, in terms of how it affects proprioception, kinesthesia. Yeah. In terms of taste, we know that we become more heightened or sensitive to bitterness. It actually, the things we're eating are not, quote unquote, neutral. Yeah. For smell, neutral smells become more unpleasant. I didn't make this stuff up. This is actually research, just so you know. Neutral smells become more unpleasant. What sensory organ is most related to memories? Smell, most direct contact. Yeah. So neutral smells we start to avoid, which alters the way we are in relationship to memory. Yeah. I don't actually know. No, it's like something that you smell it and it's just there it is without a interpretation on it. Yeah. So something more like that's not repulsive is more what's considered neutral smell. Yeah. Can we hold questions, lovies? Because I know we could get into the depths of this stuff. There's a lot more. I'm holding back on all the geeky science stuff because I'm like, ooh, I want to say it, but we got to pace ourselves here. Okay, so they're still working on the screen, so we'll get it up there soon. But in auditory or hearing, the muscles of our eardrums adjust to focus on lower or higher frequencies to keep tension and readiness for danger. So lower frequencies are more like things that we associate with noxiousness. Yeah, how pleasant is that? Yeah, buzzing of a light bulb, that would be a low tone. A predator approaching, lower vibrational tones. And we're more attuned to it, so it's like I'm on the lookout. Yeah, my ears are always going to be attuning to that information. Sight, as I mentioned, our vision narrows to focus in on, I'm not able to see the bigger picture. I'm focusing in often on the thing that could be threatening. Does this feel familiar to any of us in the room? And what ends up happening with our neuroreception is we go from having cues of safety and cues of danger to always being on the lookout for cues of danger, and we miss the cues of safety. Yeah? Let me show you again. What happens often in trauma as our sensory channels alter to be on the lookout for what could come is that we look for cues of danger and we miss cues of safety. And we find what we're looking for. I'm going to say that again. We will find what we're looking for. And sometimes if we don't, we will create it. Wrote a book about that. Yeah. Take a moment with that. Yeah, because we call those false positives. Yeah, we're looking for, it has a spark of that potential unsafety, and we fill in the rest with our imagination from the past. The past fills in as a means of preservation. Sometimes we call that overreacting. Yeah, there's lots of names for it. But essentially, again, from our trauma, our sensory channels alter to focus in on cues of danger. Our body is in response. That is mapping our reality. That the world is dangerous. That everything I'm seeing, I know we don't love the word neutral, but isn't neutral. No longer I have choice in the matter about how I interpret it. It's already interpreted for me. Yeah, it's like it's like if we only have one channel on a television and we're stuck viewing that and it's horror movies. I mean, that's a bit dramatic. But it's important to recognize that it's not necessarily trauma's just in the past holding itself, bracing itself in our body in the present. It's also how we're constantly seeing the world and it's being reinforced in the present. And so it's so imperative that we go back and we actually repattern, rewire our senses towards a new sense of safety to help shift from that narrow, and I'm going to even invite us to do this as a practice altogether. Bring your hands up. And we're going to be doing a lot of practices today. They'll be yummy, I hope. So I'm going to have you narrow your vision through your hands. Yeah. And just notice how that feels in your body. Yeah. It might shorten your breath. It shortens my breath. It brings my attention up. Yeah. And then I'm just going to remind myself that I have peripheral. And I'm just going to see my right hand and my left hand. I'm going to let my eyes move. And then my hands will expand a little bit out. I'm just letting my head turn. I'm letting myself orient to the periphery. Keep letting your hands expand out and then letting yourself see the room. Letting yourself take in the periphery, the environment. It's a simple practice, but what we're doing is increasing the locking of our senses. And they're not easy to always recognize. It's like if you're just walking around, do you know how your eyes are? Especially when that's the normal. And one of the things that we're doing in trauma healing is that we have to disorganize the normal to find a new normal. And that is challenging. We have to recognize the way that we're organizing in order to make a shift. Usually we just look at the behaviors. Why are they being so hypervigilant? Why are they being so overreactive? Why are they being underreactive? Those are symptoms. So what are some other ways we might recognize this sensory alterations or the locking? What do you think? How might you notice if you're not having flexibility, let's call it, in the way that you are sensing the world? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll repeat it. Yep. So some of the, yeah, you might see people at a wall in a position where they can be scanning, or you see them scanning, or you feel them scanning, even though their eyes might not be. We call that tracking. Yeah. What else? Yeah. Sorry, love, would you come up to the mic? It's a little too far for my...
People using language like always and never.
Always and never. So yeah, always and never. The languages where there's no middle ground, that might be a way that we actually step back and go, let's look at the sensory information. Let's see where there might be some lockedness or fixedness. Yeah. Sorry. Hi. Yeah. Uh-huh. How you interpret facial expression. Yeah. Can you say more? Often on high alert. Yeah. 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 One of the ways I recognize it for myself is, anyone in here ever do a meditation or meditation class? I imagine most of us, right? Anyone in here ever like start to think while you're meditating? I don't know, create a fight with someone in your head. That's my favorite pastime. Let's be real about it. Something like that. That as we move towards what we might call stillness, calm, vulnerability, that something inside of us stirs. That's our neuroception saying safety is not safe, or stillness is not safe. Yeah. We start to find the different ways in which, and then we get to explore, because we might not recognize, like when someone comes in my office, or when I used to have an office, and they come in and I would see like what I would call either vestibular locking, or their eyes would be really kind of locked. Those are the things I'm listening to, or watching and listening for. And as opposed to going into, tell me about your path, I might have them just orient to the room and start to find some added or flexibility, some additional vocabulary of ways of possibly seeing the world. Yeah. And we're going to do a lot more practices in just a few minutes. But there's some other hands up. Hi. Yeah. That's a fun one. I have misotonia. Yeah. My partner chews loudly. But they don't chew that loudly. No one else knows it. I don't know, is that true? Does he chew loudly? Yeah, he kind of chews loudly. He's not here because of that. Um, his mom is watching. Hi, Suze. Um, but it's yeah, one of the ways that I knew one of my trauma responses was auditory. And I got really fixated on tracking sounds and I couldn't find space from it, especially the sound of chewing. You're good. You can chew from there. What else? Anything else? Yeah. Hi. Feeling disconnected from people you love, which perfect transition. Because it brings us to our third. Is the slides working, my friend? Still trying it. All good. All good. I can just turn my computer around and you can see it that way. Yeah, zoom in on that. Yeah. Does that even work? No. Oh, almost. Oh, it's okay. We tried. So the next one is intercorporality. Yeah. It's a somatic feedback with, you can do it. I'm not distracted. How's your day going, by the way? Yeah. Excellent. Looking for stable movements. Me too. Intercorporality. Intercorpor. Mm-hmm. Intercorc. That's not helpful, I know. Intercorpeality. Intercorp. We'll get it on the screen. Just make up a word. I don't give a shit. Whatever. I'll tell you what it means and you make up a word for it. Relationships. Just write relationship. The sensory feedback mechanism, which gives us a sense of relationship with others in the environment. That's a sensory receptor. We're gathering information about our relationships, hi, my love, to our environment and to each other. Yeah. It allows an intercorporality, the hard word, we should just call it relationships. There's a French dude who made up the word. Touching and being touched. The reciprocity of one's own body and another. Yeah, basically what we're recognizing is the way that our sense of relationship, the ways we are in connection with other people, also feeds into our primal sense of self and gets interrupted. Yeah. There are other words for it in science, like contagion or mirror neurons. Yeah. Resonating. I'm resonating with you. That sounds kind of like hoo-hoo, but it's actually real. Yeah. A lot of my doctoral research was on stress contagion, which is recognizing how stress is one of the actually most contagious states. Yeah, we call that secondhand stress. And so like, if I was nervous up here, which I am not, okay? I'm just sweating a lot for no reason. You would feel that. You would feel some relationship to that. You may not recognize it's coming from me, but you're mirroring it, you're sharing it. Yeah, it's part of our evolution as beings, mammals especially, that we're able to resonate with each other. One of the evolutionary intentions is so that we can predict and get ready for threat, actually. So if there's a tiger coming at me, and I come into the room, you didn't see the tiger, and I'm like, I I don't even have to talk. Your body's already getting ready to respond as well. Yeah. That's about stress, but we have that with love too. Yeah, feel my love. Yeah. So we have intercorporality. We have, else did we do? Interoception and neuroception as three more mechanisms for which we're gathering sensory data that all get altered in response to trauma. Yeah, we know that our ability to feel in relationship to be in resonance with someone gets altered, right? What are our two main ways they get altered? Dan Poole-Heller, what are our main attachment injuries, and what do? Do we brace? Do we enmesh? Your choice, whatever you want to do. Yeah. But a lot of the injuries in terms of or relational trauma, yeah, it stops our ability to feel, to gather that data that's actually really important from our environment and each other. And it can alter the lens, and so we're misreading it. Why are you this way? You know, someone's just like, I'm no way. I'm just sitting here. I'm neutral. But it's read in a certain way. This is not a political statement, but I'm going to say one political thing. Trigger warning. There was an interesting research study that was done that there was a certain party that saw neutral faces as more dangerous. I'm not going to tell you which party. You get to decide. Yeah, but it's interesting that that what they're finding is that might even bring people to a specific political stance, that alteration in their sensory information. Whoa. So we're going to do a bunch of practices now that I have done with clients for years about how do we start to rewire neuroception? How do we start to rewire the altercations that happen in response to trauma to these channels that are assessing relationship, that are taking information in from around the world, from around us, yeah, and reinterpreting it to look for, to see it in a certain light, and that are altering it in ways that are looking for cues of danger. Yeah, sound like a plan? These are really luscious practices, I will say. That it's you know, again, we're not just jumping into memories of trauma. We're actually going a little more primally to address the sensory components that have been altered that might be reaffirming the trauma. Oh, you like that? Okay, me too. Okay, so you're gonna want to get a ball. We're gonna try to do let me check time. We're gonna try to do as many practices as we can. I'm gonna lay out on a mat. I'm gonna demo, and then I'm gonna give you some time. You can do this at your chair. You can do it on the floor in a moment. Yeah. I mentioned yesterday, support precedes movement. That's a quote from, I learned from Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen, who was my teacher, who created Body Mind Centering, or who founded Body Mind Centering. And this is a practice with that intentionality, that we're gonna first find support, and then we're gonna go in to find some movement. So this is going back into that hierarchy of senses. So touch and movement are first. So we're gonna attend to touch and movement first before we go into other sensory reprocessing or rewiring. Okay, so I'm gonna demo. I'm gonna lay here so I can see you and you can see me. You can do this. My favorite is actually on my back with head or under my pelvis, the ball. But I'm gonna turn towards you at the same time. So the first practice or process in this is I'm going to take the time to arrive. whatever that means for me and what means for you. And then I am going to recognize that the ball is coming up to receive me. And where can I say yes to being received? This might be familiar practice already. And where can I say yes to being received? We call that a bidirectional connection of support and relationship. So I'll repeat that. Where can I say yes to being received? And where can I say yes to receiving that support, the presence of that support? Cool. And then I'm going to tread or move. I'm going to add movement, and I'm only moving with that support. I mean, I could start moving again and wiggle waggle, but what I'm looking for in this rewiring is a sense that there's a ground of safety, a ground of support to which I can move from. Clear? Grab a ball. You can stay at your chair. You can put it behind you. You can sit on it. Put it on your belly. You can lie down. Is this yours? Yeah. Thank you for letting me borrow it. There's some room on stage. I don't bite. The weird phrase. If you want to come up here, you can. I'll talk you through it. So find the spot that you want to begin in. If you don't have a ball, you can do this with a towel. You can do this literally with a sweater. You can do this with the chair. Yeah. So if you're at home and you don't have a ball, you can absolutely just curl up a pillow or blanket, towel, or some form of support. And taking the first few moments to arrive, I'm here. You might squeeze your body and release if that helps from the practices we did yesterday of going, I'm here. Yeah. Bring your attention and breath into the point of contact with the support. Noticing just how much that support is coming up to meet you. Is saying, I'm here. Noticing where you can say yes to being received into that support. Even if it's just a little bit. Noticing where you can say yes to receiving that support. And as you establish that connection, that relationship, begin to find some gentle movement, noticing just how much you can move in relation to the support. Might be micro movements at first. And then as you're moving, pause for a moment and notice if you've come away from receiving or being received with the support. Can you reestablish? Taking another 30 seconds to a minute. Pausing every once in a while, recognizing if you've pulled away, if you've tightened, if you've restricted, if you've lost your sense of self. I'm here, it's here. Moving in relation to support. And then begin to make your way back into the room. Back. What do you notice? Take your time. But what do you notice? Yeah. There's a sweetness. Yeah. Did anyone find that there were moments where they moved away from the support? We don't always recognize, but that's actually moving with us through our life. That's part of what I mean by the altered sensory information that became the new normal. We have to disrupt that normal for a new normal. We have to disorganize sometimes our senses to reorganize them in relationship to safety. Yeah. You had a pleasant surprise. Did you say plural? You have two balls. Okay. Oh, those little ones. Okay. Mm. So is finding support in one area, it sounds like it helped you establish support in other. You moved into more support from that. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, even though we might be working on one area, it has a global effect. Yeah, or can have a global effect. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. So there was a sense that support was something that's logged in as stable, and that there's a new experience that support can move with us as we move. That's, yeah, that's really foundational to the fact of because we're moving through the world. World is not static for us. Yeah, good. One more, and then we're gonna do next practice. Hi. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, support made it easier to stay in the present moment. Did anyone else have that experience? Yeah, because we're looking for two things: is can we be in the here and now? And the way in which we're receiving the here and now, can we have more um, agency as to how we're receiving it? So that not every red color means danger, or some example of that. Okay, looks like the screen is on there now. Small, but there. There. Okay, so this is a simple one in relationship to any sensory system, any exteroreceptor, our senses. You know, scanning and receiving. So go ahead and pick something up if you, anything you want that might have color to it. Yeah. And if vision is available to you, if not, I'll say how to do this with another sensory. You can do this with sound or touch. So with vision, I want you to come out and find the color. So you're coming out to the color. Yeah, mine's green. I'm coming out, I'm scanning out. Okay. Notice if this feels familiar. Now pause, close your eyes. And I'm going to invite you to receive the color. So your eyes are going to get sit back in your head and receive the color in to you. Let it come to you as you open your eyes and see the color or the shape. Let it come into you, receiving. And then rest. Notice if that felt familiar. Anyone here a scanner? Like, out? Anyone here more of a receiver? It's not good or bad. It's just, what do we have choice? Do we get stuck in scanning for things and not receiving things? Yeah? Are we tracking the world as opposed to taking it in? Those are ways that our senses alter. Does that make sense? It resonate? Okay. So I'm going to go to the next practice. It's up there. You can see that, quite small, but is recognizing what I call the rev. So remember how I mentioned that preparation, like, ooh, there's something in me that needs to get ready for the next. Yeah, that part of you. So one of the practices is just noticing, as we did before, like, how does my body get prepared, wait, and anticipation for the next thing? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now you can't see me, but good. No, it's okay. You can see the screen. We'll show the screen. They know what I look like. You can show a twig. I was kidding. I love you. Just show the screen. You know what? Nothing. Nobody. Fine. Oh, somebody's a tease. Okay. So recognizing the rev, yeah, is, you know what? Let's just keep it off. If it can't stay, it's okay. Let's see. Will it say? This is the anticipation. This is fucking meta. Yes. So notice, as we're all in this, we planned this from the fucking beginning, I swear to God. Notice that anticipation. Will it go off? And take a moment. Can you sit with it? Can you build the container like we did yesterday to hold it? And then expand the container. Yeah, maybe an action is needed. Can you squeeze that ball? Can you put that energy and mobilize it into the ball? Oh, can we? Yeah. Good. And notice how the room is settling. Yeah. So one of the really important things is to notice the anticipatory rev that a lot of us carry, as opposed to trying to catch the behaviors that come out of that. Come back to the somatic experience of the rev, that part of us that's like looking and scanning and preparing for the next shoe to drop. And I hold space for it. I sit with it. I acknowledge it. Maybe I need to mobilize that energy in a different way so that energy doesn't keep scanning and searching and trying to find all the cues of danger. Sound like a plan? Cool. Should we do a few more practices? Okay. Reestablishing boundaries. So we actually did this yesterday. Sometimes, and I said this yesterday, sometimes in response, especially in early attachment trauma, that we might puncture our own boundary in trying to reach out to get someone else. Any other anxious folks in here? Yeah. So we might have punctured our own boundaries, or boundaries might have been punctured, and we don't have modulation of how much sensory information is coming in, and we get overwhelmed and we can't process, especially if like our alteration of our sensory apparatuses are just to take everything in. Yeah, it's like the drawbridge is always down. There's no modulation. Everything, everyone and everything is coming in. And so one of the practices that we're gonna use or do is one we started yesterday. So we just come back to that membrane, establishing that, go ahead and do this with me if you want, that bubble around us. We did this as a practice yesterday. We started with our physical body, and then we did it in our spatial body. Yeah. And as you reestablish, and I feel it in the room, so we're going to keep going. As you establish that membrane, that boundary, imagine for a moment that the smell or the taste or the sound first touches that boundary, as opposed to first touching you. So there's a buffer there. Ah, it's like the whole room just got a little more spacious. Yeah. It takes a little imagination, but what we're doing is actually creating a modulation, a boundary, a buffer, so that we have not just overwhelm, but choice as sensory information is meeting that. And that gives us, if we're, just a show of hands, how many people are able to feel some sense of boundary and then the sensory information a little bit on the outside as opposed to inside? Okay. It's not, different practices are going to resonate for different people. But what that allows us to do is I say, oh, suddenly the sensory information isn't just stuck on me, it's out here and I can become in relationship to it. And that's where we get Peter Levine's favorite word, titration. Touching it. I'm just having little moments with that sensory information and then backing away. So I start to have choice in relationship to my sensory information as opposed to, again, it just coming at me. We're going to do 2 more practices. The other one is, I'm just going to briefly talk about, because you did it with Albert, is allyship, bringing in your allies, you know, those caring, loving, nurturing warriors or wisdom holders or teachers or friends, and bringing them into your space with you as you go on another sensory odyssey. So it's the same practice we did in the beginning, but now with that much more sense of support and safety. So we're starting to couple safety and exploration of our senses. Yeah, because we're first looking and finding cues of safety and resources of safety. Yeah. What's often been hiding behind. And so these practices, like allyship or simply going into a state, finding a state of curiosity and then re-exploring sensory information, allows us to actually rewire to go back and find more flexibility of our senses that aren't locked in looking for danger. Yeah? How we doing? We good? We do one more practice and you get to actually do it. We have space for that? Okay. Would you be open to volunteering? No pressure. Thank you. We're gonna do a touch practice. You can do it as a self practice. Yeah. But this, when we talk about intercorporality, I'll show it to you now. Nope. Can you go to the slide before? Thank you. There's a spelling. So as we go back and we also do some rewiring of connection. Oh, thank you for bringing this ball. It matches your shirt. How cool is that? How many chairs? Are you okay with standing, or we can sit on the? I'm flexible. We can stand. Okay. So what I'm gonna have you do is, is it all right if when we'll see, are you okay with touch? Okay, I should ask you before, sorry. We talked about this before. Okay, so I'm gonna have you put your hand out if that's okay. And the first thing I'm gonna have you do is brace. So this is what we talked about, like the closing off. You can't receive in this state. You can't touch and be touched. Yeah. And then release it so you can feel the difference. Just so we can start to add some vocabulary, because maybe this is how we typically are. And so just having something slightly different. Yeah, you can take off the slide. Okay, so now that we've established that, I'm gonna bring my hands out. No, not just me. I'm gonna bring my hands out as the toucher. That's a weird word. Yeah. Do we have a better word for it? And I'm gonna bring my hands above and below, and I'm gonna start out here. Does it feel like it's safe enough that you can possibly be open to receiving me and me receiving you through touch? Okay. It is safe. Okay. Good. And I'm gonna invite you. You might close your eyes. Yeah. Just to feel as I bring my hands in. At any point, please tell me to pause if it feels like, ooh, I might have that blocking, or I might not be able to feel myself anymore. I lost my sense of self. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can go as slow as you need. We have all the time in the world. Yeah. And as it took that time, it actually allowed my hands to come in a little bit more. I'm not in a rush, especially around touch. She's going to hold the mic up to you. Feels good.
Yeah, it feels good.
Mm-hmm. Is it all right if I make contact?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And when I say all right, we're really using this somatic data of like, oh, I'm closing off, or I'm here, or I'm not here.
Now I feel you.
And you feel my skin contact. Great.
Oh, your hands are cold.
I'm so sorry. I am a vampire. You found out.
It's good.
It's okay. Okay. So I want to invite you, as I'm making contact, to feel like we did with the ball, to feel my hand.
Mm.
See if it's okay to receive me. If we were to imagine our skin had little windows.
It is okay.
It's okay. If we imagine our skin had little windows that could open a little bit to receive me, or close to receive less of me, your choice. You can even play with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Could you please
More.
yeah.
You want me to repeat it?
Yeah.
Repeat it.
Can you
Yeah.
please repeat it?
So as my hands are touching you, we're just exploring a little bit. So you know how you have these pores or little windows on your skin? We just imagine we could open them
Oh, I
a
get
little
it.
bit,
Mm-hmm.
like windows in a house. Yeah. And we could also close them. We have choice. We have agency in how we're being with touch. Yeah. And then finding how open or how closed the windows for you right now feel the best in relationship to my touch. Yeah. It's like that.
So I feel if I breathe in, I'm opening
Mm-hmm.
my pores.
Cool. Mhm. Good. And then one more piece is I would like you to share with me what I can do more in terms of my quality of touch. This is one way I know someone's receiving me, right? Is by I'm asking, how can I make my quality of touch, my pressure, even better for you in this moment?
You could give it like,
Squeezy.
yeah.
Squeezy like this? Is this,
Yeah,
yeah?
like
Cool.
if it was a massage, and
Oh.
that seriously.
Uh-huh. I see where we're going here. I'm here for it. How's that? I really want to find, yeah. And can I go faster or slower? What would,
Um, and wait a little bit, and then you can go slower.
wait a little bit and I'm gonna go slower. Just slow?
A little bit more.
A little bit more, yeah. Oh.
Oh, that.
I really feel a sense of synchronizing, like you're receiving me, I'm receiving you, and there's this bi-directional connection. And I feel it in my body, I feel this co-regulation happening. Ooh, that's a
Yeah, I
fancy
feel
word.
really
Yeah.
soft and really relaxed and contained, I guess I can say. Even if you're just holding my arm.
I'm massaging it too.
Yeah, massage. I feel very sustained.
Yeah. And then is it all right if we pause there?
Yeah.
Then just take a moment from even that point of contact that I'm having with you, just to notice how zoom out to feel how the rest of your body responds. Yeah.
Super good.
Super
Thank
good.
Yes.
Amazing. So this, thank you. Thank you, Martha. You're a bomb. So we're rewiring touch with agency and with the option of like having choice, just more and more choice. But like how open or closed are my windows? Yeah. How close I want it, the exact quality of contact. Yeah. We're rewiring this sense of choice with touch. I'm still in that pump. Wow. That was a good one. I'm in it. Okay. So we're going to take 6 minutes. So it's like a 3-minute each. If you can find, if you don't want to do it with a partner, you don't have a partner, if you're at home, you can absolutely do this with yourself. I do it all the time. Yeah. Come on. Okay. All right. Turn to a partner. You're going to do I'll repeat the practice. You're going to keep your hands off, have them compress, and then release. Get closer as long as it feels like they're okay, safe enough. You might need to stop. If you make contact, invite them to open or close the windows, and then find the best quality of touch for them to be with you and with themselves. Okay, 6 minutes. Okay, I'd love to hear just maybe 2 kind of like ahas. If you want to come up to the mic, just share 2 ahas. One or a couple. Hi, yeah, short ahas.
I just noticed there at the end that I felt the coldness
Uh-huh.
on my arm from where my partner took their hands away, and then I felt like kind of a blurriness and really the feeling of their absence,
Yeah,
and that was sad.
that was what?
Sad.
Sad, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. I imagine in absence, there was also a sense of relation. And this is even one of those things of, even as sadness comes up, how do we hold both the absence and the sense that the connection that was there? Sorry. Hi.
Hello. I almost fell asleep.
You almost fell asleep. Does that mean you were relaxed?
Yeah.
And how is that to be relaxed?
It was the pressure on my hands
Mhm.
that identified it. And then
Yeah.
they were squeezing it. And then the pressure got a little bit, I wanted it to be a little harder.
Yeah.
And then as it got harder, I was like feeling so relaxed. Like I felt it in my neck. And then I was like actually going forward, like I was going to fall asleep.
How is it for you to feel relaxation in your life?
It's hard.
Uh-huh.
So for me, that's really nice to feel that release of like
Yeah,
coming, kind of like floating down like a balloon.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. Let's take one more. Let's see the line.
I was thinking about doing this in the office as a clinician,
Yeah.
and that some people may not be ready for human touch, and using like the smaller weighted blankets as
Yeah.
a way to
Yeah.
allow them some agency to
Absolutely.
have
Yeah.
that pressure and weight and texture.
Yeah, absolutely. So sometimes I have people pile up pillows, just the right amount of pillows, a touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. My friends, we went on quite the odyssey. Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to recap that all of these mechanisms, interoception, exteroception, proprioception, kinesthesia, intercorporality, they're all ways we're gathering the sensations and feeling that bring us into the liveness that we call somatics, the living body. And this is a lifelong journey, and recognizing that sometimes there are things that get in our way, interfere with that. We might call that trauma. We might call that life. And that part of our journey, this somatic journey, is the constant returning back to our birthright of feeling the aliveness that we deserve. Thank you all so much. Thank you. We'll take a little break and then we'll come back with the lovely Albert. Thank you.